2, 1. It's episode 309, and we've got plugins for social sharing, top 10 posts, and a thumbs up, thumbs down button that will just enhance your website. All coming up next on WordPress Plugins A-Z.
WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 30,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join John Overall and Marcus Couch for this weekly unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins A-Z.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the smoke-filled brewery overlook in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, I'm John Overall. And unfortunately, Marcus is not with me here today, but of course that's because down there in the States, you guys are having your Memorial Day weekend and holiday today, and he's taking time off to go enjoy himself a Cubs game somewhere down in San Diego. So anyway, I hope the game goes well, and go Cubbies, I guess. I don't know. I'm not much of a fan. At any rate, we do have the usual great show for you today, or at least I have the usual great show for you here today. And of course, right off the top, don't forget, you can get all the show notes over at WP A-Z.com. And if you got a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your time over on Stitcher Radio, giving us a review, hitting a little thumbs up button in the corner. A review would really be great, because then we could read it out on the show. And also, if you listen to us or get it from the iTunes store, please stop in there and leave us a review. It really helps the show a lot out there. And of course, the vast majority of our listenership out there comes from the iTunes store. And of course, you can also follow the show over on Twitter at WP Plugins A-Z. So check that out. We do respond there. It's always nice to get an occasional tweet back and forth with someone. I'm not much of a Twitter user, but Marcus uses it a lot more than me. And a little bit of self-promotion for you. And this is where I'm finding a little bit of extra time, but of course I need a little bit more money due to life circumstances changes. And one of the great things I do for folks is if you have emergency WordPress support, be your website broke, hacked, cracked, any number of things has gone wrong, feel free to contact me. Go to my website at johnoverall.com/emergency and you'll get me, or just send an email direct to john@wppro.ca. And we're also still promoting and pushing out the jobs board over at wppluginsa-z.com/jobs. Currently, we have about 6 experts in there, and we're looking to have a few more added in. And if you've got a job, feel free to go there and post it and see if one of the experts that are listed can help you out. So we're trying to get that started and get it actually working and moving forward. Now, it's at this point here where Marcus usually gets to give his pitch, but he really doesn't have one right now. So you might just go check out his website at marcuscouch.com. It's a pretty decent website he's built up, tell you all about himself, and get everything else you'll need to contact Marcus. Also, he's doing the editorial thing for Smash Mouth magazine for WordPress. So contact him about that. All right. At this point here, I'd like to thank our donors to the show, and we like to acknowledge anyone who comes in $50 or more, and they can send us a letter, a note, whatever they want. We'll read it out on the air. If there's links in it, we'll link back to it, and we'll showcase that link also in the screencast that I've been doing. I don't know how many folks have checked out the screencast that I've been putting up after all of the shows recently. And I've been doing them probably for about 10 or 15 episodes now. So you might want to check them out. Sometimes it's kind of nice to see what we're talking about, because I try to make sure I showcase the plugins we're doing, who's being showcased when a donor gives us something, that nature there. So at any rate, without further ado, we have this week here $50 from Jez Web Pty Limited. And Jeremy had a note there and said, "Thank you for keeping the podcast fresh. And I hope that others will take up the offer to support your work, either by direct donations, services, or Patreon. I'm sure there must be more web designers out there that could do their part to fund the show, running costs who might be disappointed if you stopped recording. This donation is on behalf of Hunter Street Chambers at hunterstreetchambers.com.au, who are a company of baristas in Newcastle, Australia. Now, that's a country I'd really like to get down and visit. My daughter spent time down there when she was in her teens, and she says it's very nice. So, at any rate, thank you very much, Jeremy. We really appreciate your support of the show. And for those of you who came in under $50, our Patreons, and the occasional donation, much appreciated. And I'm going to have a little bit of acknowledgement for them a little bit later on here in the show. So stay. All right. Well, this week here, I do have some news articles. And of course, for those of you who were hiding under a rock in the WordPress community, on May 27th, WordPress turned 14. One of the ways I remember it is my oldest son, May 27th, yeah. My oldest son has his birthday the same day. He turned 10 that same day. So this leads me to thinking, wow, how long have I been doing this? And it turns out I have been working with WordPress for about 8 years now. And how do I remember that? Well, my second oldest son was born the same year that I discovered and started working with WordPress. So that's how I keep a track of it. 8 and 10-year-old boys, and every year they get older, and so do I. Got to figure out how to turn that clock back little by little. And fortunately, while the smoke-filled room seems to be overcoming me just a little bit, it's not so bad. And fortunately, I get to pause this so you don't got to hear it. And anyway, off we go with a couple of articles about the big day. First one here, 14 amazing WordPress milestones. This is a really interesting article about some of the milestones that WordPress has covered since 2003 and when they were released. In 2004, they created a plugin system. In 2004, the plugin system. Also, they created a GNU license. In 2005, the WordPress logo was created. In 2006 was the first WordCamp. In 2010, the foundation was created. In 2012, themes were added to the dashboard. In 2015, plugin directory. In 2000, a lot of that happened in 2015. So a lot of those are all the way up to 2015. Oh, 2016 was WordCamp Europe. So who knows what 2017 is going to bring for them. Anyway, check out the article. It's kind of interesting. Some really great stuff there. Also, another article from Matt Mullenweg from ma.tt. And this is his discussion about the very first release of WordPress and some links to it. Check it out. Really interesting article. And of course, the same day, WordPress 4. Actually, a couple of days before, WordPress 4.8 release candidate is out there for everyone to play with. I don't know if I'll get a chance to play with it before it goes live. I'm trying to get to that point, and we'll check it out. But from what I'm starting to hear, it seems like nobody's sure. So anyway, check it out. Really great article there. And here's another final article I've got for you today. It's 10 ways. It's from WPMU Dev, and it's 10 ways to help determine the quality of a free WordPress plugin. It's a guide to helping you choose free WordPress plugins and the sort of things you'll want to look at when you're determining to load a free WordPress plugin and see how good or bad the plugin might be based on some basic information that's rightly available. So anyway, check out the article. It can be very useful for you. Okay, since I am doing the show on my own today, I'm going to take a little time here for a bit of a rant. So for those of you that are here just for the plugins, feel free to hit the little fast forward button on your player and skip right to the plugins. You'll hear the plugin bumper intro. That little wonderful sound sounds like this. Okay, move forward to that because this is going to take a few minutes. So I want to have a bit of discussion. I'm going to cover a few things that we've skimmed over, we've talked about, or some of the feedback that we've heard and some that's been presented in the show and some that we've just sort of overlooked because it just wasn't worth it. So at any rate, without further ado, first off, I would like to express the gratitude we have for our regular donors. In particular, the regular donation from Jeremy at JazzWeb for his support of the show, and from our Patreons. And a few of our Patreons are Robert, Jeremy, Mike, Charles, and for those who have made one-time donations in the past via direct from PayPal from our website or some other form of donation. And for the couple of people out there who have made offers and one who started to help in the bits of redevelopment of the site, I've got to get back in touch with him. One of the biggest problems I have is time management, and I've been working on that dramatically. So I'd also like to kind of address the useless reviews that appeared in our iTunes store. And I've seen one other useless review over at the at Stitcher Radio, and they were the ones that did nothing but complain about us starting to ask for donations, and sometimes, actually begging, pleading, guilting, whatever it takes to get people to understand why we chose this route. Well, I chose it more than anything else because, after all, it is my show and Marcus is the co-host. But I still direct this show and direct what we're going to do and what we're not going to do in the end. I have the ultimate decision here. Now, I've tried advertising. We've even taken some advertising money, and we've even had a couple of advertisers. The last time I was going to do advertising, when I got into negotiations with the proposed advertiser and started realizing they were trying to get on here for a pittance of what the value of the show is, and then the way they wanted to pay out the advertising instead of just write me a check, it was just too confusing. And if this is indicative of what the shows out there that take advertising have to deal with, it just didn't seem worthwhile for me. I get inquiries about advertising on a fairly regular basis. I direct them to, we have a page there. I will still take advertising if someone wants to offer it, but they have to give me their advertising on my terms. I'm not going to take the advertising on their terms. And one of the big things with the terms of advertising is straight simple. I'm not going to favor your product. There's times it's like, I'll take advertising even if I don't fully believe in your product, but I won't read it as if I believe in your product. I can't do it. I almost did it once, and I just couldn't crush my soul enough to be able to say, I need the money that badly. I can go pick up pop cans sometimes and make more money. So at any rate, it was about integrity. The biggest thing we do here on the show is, if you listen to our reviews, we have a 5-star rating system, or in our case, my case, dragon rating system. Marcus uses stars. I like the dragons. I'm partial to them. At any rate, we have a 5-point rating system. If you listen to our show, you'll find that there's very few plugins that get a 5-point rating from us, a full-on 5-point rating. And we've explained why and how what a plugin needs to do to get to a 5-point. Well, you go look at reviews, or you go listen to reviews or things that are told by people that are taking advertising, particularly about the products they're taking advertising on. Sometimes you have to wonder, are they giving an honest review or a viewpoint on it? They're taking their advertising. They send them places. They do all kinds of things. It makes it kind of a tough thing to do. So we decided to opt for the way of doing the show, which is the value for value. And this value for value is a model that I'm starting to see more and more take on in many different places. And the value for value being, if you feel like you're getting value for this, give back some value. If you're getting value for something and you're not getting giving value back in some way, either feedback, helping, donating, spreading the word, telling people about it, sharing. It's like there's lots of ways you can give value. You don't have to always give cash. Cash always helps, because cash helps put the show on, or get the show flowing and moving forward. But there's lots of ways to do the value for value. And the thing is that how many of you listening right now are actually giving value, making sure other people know about it, telling other people, sharing it in your social media? When you get the show fed out to you and you like a particular show, I don't see a lot of tweets or anything that reference WP Plugins directly. Maybe you tell us about it, but maybe it's just not referenced. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what's happening. I know we have thousands of listeners every week that download the show. We are up there in the number of shows. The show has been on the air for over 6 years. Well, on the air is a relative term anyway. So, at any rate, That's why we have the value for value model, in that we can continue to give honest, true feedback without any fear of repercussions. Because if once you start to depend on advertising money, if you say anything negative about your main supporters, they're going to abandon you and you will lose your money. Whereas if people are supporting the show, if we're doing the right job, then that's what's happening. If we're not doing the right job, we're not giving you the information you want, you're not hearing things that we should be covering, tell us. Let's see if we can start to present you with some information that you want. Let's see if we can showcase stuff a little bit better. Now, on that point there, I want to go on about another thing here, is that I assume that since I haven't heard any complaints in a while, no one's been whining, that the quality of the sound has finally hit a decent quality. Maybe it's not perfect quality that you will hear from a radio or television or something like that, considering that they do their recording in soundproofed rooms and have ultra high mixers and everything else. I don't have the kind of money to do that. The mixer I got, quite good, quite decent, help paid for, along with the microphone via donations. Much appreciated that. So anyway, if there's complaints about the sound now, let me know. I'm pretty sure at least the last 10 episodes have been decent sound quality with the occasional glitch here and there of bad Skype is usually what it is. This one here, no Skype this one, just pure me. So let me know how this one comes out. Also, I want to discuss a little bit about how you can support the show. And I know I just gave a bunch of examples. One of the big things we need here is we need news articles, we need writings, we need people to direct us on what they'd like to see. It wouldn't hurt at all to have someone to help re-edit the show notes, because the show notes pretty much go up raw. You know, I try to edit them, but I don't always have time to give them a good, clean edit. It would be nice to have a real editor come in and clean them up and change them up for a bit. That's the sort of help that we could use. You know, some production area help. Now, one of the things that this takes us to is just letting you know how much time it takes to do a show. As I mentioned, this show has been on the air, well, relative term again. I've been recording this show for over 6 years. Marcus has been recording with me for almost 4 years. No, 5 years. He's been with me for about 5 years. I hit about episode 55. If you go back to 300, I got the exact information there. At any rate, he joined me about then. But previous to that, I've been doing this. I've been doing this week after week with only a few weeks missed here and there due to life circumstances, work overload, the inability to do it, because in the beginning when I did this show, I didn't do it to make any money with the show or to turn it into something big. I did it as a simple extension of my business to grow my WordPress development business. And it served that purpose very well. But what happened about a year and a half ago, it suddenly dawned on me and Marcus that we have an audience. We were looking at the downloads and realizing that the show's downloaded thousands of times every week. We were getting feedback. People were talking to us. By this point here, no one had donated to the show as of yet. So what happened was I realized that there is an actual possible viability of making this a full-time gig, making WP plugins my full-time thing. In other words, bringing plugin news, information, lots of plugins, in-depth reviews of plugins instead of a lot of the cursory reviews we do. In other words, taking a plugin apart and seeing what it can do, but that takes time. Just this show alone, which averages between 15 to 18 minutes and 36 minutes a week, depends on our content. That kind of show sucks up 3 to 5 to 10 hours to do. And that would be the research for the plugins we have to do, the information we have to gather, the brief writing of the show notes, the pulling it together, the checking out the news, the contact with our donors, bringing in their information, ensure it isn't missed, all of these bits and pieces. Then recording the show, which we record live to tape. We don't edit. Everything that we say and do in the show goes straight to tape. So there's no editing involved, but we still have to take that raw file, convert it to an MP3 file, then upload that MP3 file, upload the show notes, then edit the show notes to at least give them, for spelling errors and some punctuation. They're still mostly raw. And then we got to get it promoted out to all the different places. Now, granted, the feed goes out automatically, but we still got to let people know it exists, promote it in different places. Then we got to create additional articles, the news, and the other bits that I started doing. That stuff takes time. It all takes time to do. And it's not paying any additional bills. It just eats time, which costs money. So I have to only allocate X number of hours per week to this show. And I've allocated my Mondays to the show pretty much now. I used to allocate 3 hours to the show, and that was it. What I couldn't get done in that time didn't get done in each week. And you can go back to earlier shows and see. But about a year ago, I ran a Kickstarter to try and raise the money to do this show for 6 months of full-time hours for a week. I was trying to get the Kickstarter money to do it. And I felt that if I could have done that, I could have turned this into a fantastic show. Well, I didn't raise the funds I was after, but I did raise 1/10 of the funds. Now, I didn't collect that 1/10 of funds because I felt that if I didn't get it all, I didn't want any of it. So nobody paid me any money from the Kickstarter. But what it showed me was there was people out there willing to donate to the show. And that was when we realized we needed to start asking you, the listeners out there, to support us, to show us what you think of the show, to show us that you like what we're doing, you like the direction we're going, the support we're doing. We've got a few of you that do that, and we're very grateful for that. That donations has allowed me to go from giving 3 hours a week to giving a full 8-hour day once a week to the show. Now, that doesn't always translate into everything we need to be done, because sometimes I have to spend time just working on the website to keep the website running correctly. Anyone who runs a WordPress website knows that every once in a while you got to spend a few hours going through and cleaning it, adjusting it, tweaking it, trying to improve its performance, on and on. These are the things that I do. Now, real quickly, with, you've heard our occasional threats, Marcus's occasional threats of, quitting the show or stopping the recording. What would I do if the little support we had dried up completely? Well, I'd probably continue doing the show because I like doing it, but it wouldn't get the kind of treatment it's getting now. It would get even less of that treatment. I wouldn't keep extending it out. It would get suddenly, a burst here and there, but it would continue to get a weekly recording of a set of plugins to help keep it live and fresh. Now, I do this show because I enjoy it, and I really do see that it can be something that can be done full-time, professionally, and do a very good job. Now, I actually have some training in this area, having been through a multimedia program in college where I did radio and television work. Granted, that was, a decade ago, but the knowledge is still there. This helps out a bit. As I can afford and have better equipment for this, everything else improves with it. And the reason I'm doing this show is because it helps me to continually look at new plugins, new information, pay attention to the news in the WordPress community, and keep myself abreast of things. I'm nowhere near ahead as I used to be, but as I put more and more into the show, I get further and further ahead. WordPress has sped up so fast in the last 3-4 years, it's really hard to stay abreast of it. When the show was started, there was only 9,000 plugins in the repository. Now there's over 40,000, but that's only the repository. That's not including everything else out there. Now, some of the things I would like to do with this show is I would like to start showcasing some of these all-in-one themes that come with multiple plugins as part of the theming system itself, and some of them are proprietary strictly to the theme. In particular, there's been a couple of plugins that I'm thinking about reviewing, but the only way they get those plugins is with the theme they come with. And they enhance that theme beautifully, but those plugins aren't available as a separate piece for a website. So these are the sorts of things that I'm seeing a bit more and more of. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in the WordPress world that this show can bring forward. And this is the longest running WordPress focused show, focused on plugins in particular, but it is the longest running WordPress show. It's longer running than even WP Engineer, who started his show, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks after mine. So I beat him by a couple of weeks. He's got more episodes than me because he was always more consistent. But the only one that's truly longer would be the Tavern show, but the podcast from the Tavern took a 2.5-year hiatus or a 3-year hiatus. So you see, this has been continuously going on, and the whole time it's been fully supported by me. For a brief time, Mark has helped support some of the things in it, but it's almost always been fully supported by me. And I do this because I really enjoy it. I enjoy getting feedback. The points of views I express here, I love to be able to take my point of view anywhere I want to go without any fears of repercussions from advertisers. Well, from you to listeners, those repercussions I can handle because it's feedback. Your feedback has helped redirect this show over the years. I mean, anyone who wants to hear how crazy I used to be, go check out episode 1 through 25, and you'll find some true entertainment there. They're buried somewhere deep in my own website at johnoverall.com. You can find them there. But anyway, it's basically how this is going. And we're not going to stop asking you for donations, not as long as we keep doing the show. We're not going to stop running the guilt process occasionally because that guilt process actually seems to work. Every time Marcus went on a massive guilt rant, all of a sudden we got several donations. So guilting actually seems to work. So we're going to try it today. Feel guilty for not supporting this show. You're taking value for something and you're not giving any value back. That's like walking up to the eggs cart out in the countryside that has those eggs out on the honor system at $4 a dozen, taking a dozen eggs and walking away. Now, if you have no money, you can't support it, understandable. But if you have money, you have even $5, you should be supporting it and paying for it. Because this is value. We generally do give value here on the show. We generally give good information. We give insights on how you can use the plugins. We give insights on plugins that we feel have problems. When we have time to do a real good in-depth review of the plugin, you get some really good pieces of information on them. I have started in recent times doing interviews with the plugin developers and authors. Now, I'm a bit behind in posting those interviews, but that's due to the amount of time I have to devote to the show. I'm getting them up as fast as I can. For those of you who have interviewed with me and I haven't posted your interview, it's coming, don't worry. At any rate, you're getting interviews, you're getting more information. As I have more time, I'll bring in even more and more stuff. And that's the problem. It's all about time, and time is money. And since my personal issues that occurred go back a couple, 3 months on where I announced briefly that my wife and I had separated and my life basically fell apart, it's coming back together. So time is being reorganized and distributed correctly. And that brings it forward. But at this moment in time, I only have one day I can give to this show. And sometimes if I've got a project or I've got a money-making opportunity that's more important than this time will get cut into also because I have to make money to be able to do this show, because the donations we get are definitely not something we can live on. They help subsidize the simple things we're doing, such as our transcripts, because that's not free. It helps subsidize the hosting. That's not free. It helps subsidize all the little things that are done. So at any rate, that's pretty much my rant, and it probably went a lot longer than I expected it to. But anyway, we're going to take it in now, and I'll do a double bumper here, so those of you hitting the fast forward will be able to find this spot. That's all we got now. Off we go into the meat and potatoes of WP Plugins A to Z. This week here, I have 3 plugins that I have gone through and reviewed. And the first one here, this one was sent in to us by Ryan, who sent it out on Twitter that he had submitted a plugin. This is the kind of cool thing I like to see from our supporters. You submit the plugin, announce it out on your Twitter feed that you submitted it to us. I responded back to him and look forward to reviewing it. Thanks a lot, Ryan. So anyway, it's from Ryan at GoRocketCloud.com, and the plugin is called Social Share Buttons. Now, the lowdown about this plugin here. This is another social share button plugin, and there are a lot of those in the WordPress repository. So many such that you might consider a better name for this, Ryan, than social share buttons, simply because when you enter it into the WordPress dashboard, your plugin doesn't even show up on the first 2 pages of listings. And at that point there, nobody's going to be hunting. You actually have to hunt this plugin down using the author's name of Rocket Cloud to find it. And that's how I ended up finding it when I was going to test it. Granted, you provided me with a copy, but sometimes I like to go to the repository and just see the process. So, about this plugin, it is pretty decent. It has a good selection of the most used social networks. All you need to do is check a box off on them. And yeah, that's going to be in a transcript. Okay, and all you do is check a box off on the icons that you want. Then once you're done with it, you go through and you set up the colors you want the icons to be in, the foreground and background color of the icons. And then you decide whether you want to have the icons float left, float right, or appear at the top or the bottom of the post. And I did find that while it's pretty good, a couple of limitations that I felt it has is that the icons are only square. You can't get the little elongated icons that a lot of people like. You are limited to size of the icon between small, medium, and large. You can't customize the height too easily. And it does not work on at least one theme that I know of. But then again, the theme I was testing it on when I threw this into my my Sandbox website to test it out, the theme I had installed at the time was a theme that's one of those extensive themes, has all its own stuff in it, so this could not override what they had in there. So they had something to keep this from showing up. But that's a minor issue. It works very well with other basic themes, and in my test, it's pretty decent. If you use a standard theme, it should work just fine. All in all, it is a pretty good basic social sharing plugin. So anyway, check it out at WordPress.org, and I gave it a 4 dragon rating. So check it out, Social Share Buttons from Rocket Cloud. Next up, we have a top 10 popular posts plugin for WordPress. Now, again, there's a lot of plugins like this one here, but this one is one of the best ones I have used. It's a pretty extensive top 10 post plugin. You can have it track overall top 10. You can have it track your daily top 10 to see what you want. Now, I thought that was a very useful feature. You can track the total top 10 for all the visits to the sites, or you can track the top 10 just for your daily ones. This is a very useful one. This plugin here came with one of the themes that I purchased for doing a video website, and the best feature there is for tracking your top 10 videos. Overall and daily, you can set time limits. It comes with a widget in it that you use. The widget, you can set information on specific widgets, or you can go into the overall settings for the plugin, and the overall settings are pretty decently extensive, giving you lots of control over the system itself. It also has its own built-in cache on here to cache the top 10, so that it lowers your overall load on your site. If you're a busy website, it doesn't have to recalculate the top 10. You can set it so it will cache them for up to an hour and then recalculate it every hour or so. Much better way of doing it. That way, if you're a busy site, you're not constantly running the database figures. You can stylize it, customize it. All in all, it turned out to be one of the best top 10 plugins I've ever used. And because of that feature there, and when you showcase it, you can showcase it as having the featured image with a headline, the featured image by itself, the featured image, a small snippet. There's lots of ways to display the information. Lots of really good features in this plugin. I'm just getting warmed up with it as I get this one website built out. Anyway, check it out. Top 10 popular post plugin for WordPress, and these guys knocked it out of the park, so I gave it a 5-dragon rating. My final plugin here today is WTI Like Post. Now this one here is something that adds a thumbs up, thumbs down button to your WordPress. And everyone loves thumbs up buttons, especially like Facebook. But everyone also loves to have that thumbs down button. So when they don't like something, they can express just as much dislike as they express like. This one here is a pretty decent plugin for that. It's very simple, straightforward. You just plug it in, turn it on, and then go through and configure it, tell it where you're going to connect it up. Now, it looks pretty decent. This website I'm working on right now, the developers of the theme created a special place just underneath the videos in the video frame they built so that people can give a thumbs up, down for the videos. That's the reason I ran into this plugin here. So it's kind of like having your own private thumbs up, down button for videos outside of YouTube or whatever, but this video theme was designed for hosting your own videos too, which you need something for that. So anyway, it's a really great plugin. It is a freemium plugin, and they have a premium version. And if you get a premium version, go to the pro version, which is only $15. So it's affordable if you need the additional functionality. You can get My Cred points. You can get functionality to show user avatars who like the post. You can integrate it with BuddyPress, functionality for disabling the plugin CSS file so you can customize it to your theme. Options for saving a plugin, more and more. They've got a list of 28 different options in here for the pro version. So anyway, check it out. This is a really decent one. Great plugin. WTI Like Post. I give it a 4-dragon rating. And that's it for this week. I covered up social share buttons, which I gave a 4 to. Top 10 popular post plugin for WordPress, which I gave a 5 to, and then WTI Like Post, which I gave a 4 to. And of course, a little bit of self-promotions here, or not self-promotions, but commercial and promotions this week. I am sharing out still WP Fangirl. She's got some really great stuff. Sally Ghosh there. Her website contains lots of great articles, tips on how to manage your website, as well as you could go hire her up if you need some WordPress work or development done. I hear her work is pretty decent, so go check her out at wpfangirl.com. Okay, and yeah, like I said, some really great articles and other miscellaneous stuff there. So check it out. Okay, and again, just a brief mention for Marcus to go check out his website at marcuscouch.com. And I say a lot of ands, I realize. I need to work on that. Catch my words. Oh, yeah, and so, okay, we'll clear that out. The usual reminders, don't forget to stop in at the iTunes store, leave us a review. Greatly appreciated to leave a review there. Think of that as a beautiful way to give value for value back to the show. If you listen to us on Stitcher Radio, hit that little thumbs up button in the corner or leave us a review there. And you can contact me on my website at johnoverall.com, where, of course, as I mentioned, you can go back and find the really early episodes of this podcast and have some true entertainment. Or send an email direct to john at wppro.ca. And if you want to get to Marcus, go to his website, marcuscouch.com, or you can hit him up on Twitter at marcuscouch. And remember, you can always follow the show at WP A-Z.com. And that's all we got for you now. Till next week, take care now. Bye-bye.
WordPress. It's the most...
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.